It's recording. Okay.
Okay. I am Luann Herdloff, member of League of Women Voters, Park Rapids. Good evening. I would like to welcome you to the Candidates Forum from Menahga School Board. We thank the candidates and the audience for attending tonight and our online audience for viewing. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose a political party or a candidate for office. The League has a long-standing history in our community of providing unbiased candidate and issue information that is widely used by Minnesota voters regardless of their political beliefs. We are pleased to be partnering with the Review Messenger and the Park Rapids Enterprise on this candidate forum. This forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face to face. The views expressed here tonight are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters, the Messenger, or the Enterprise. Bathrooms are located in the hallway through that door and on the left. We ask that no campaign buttons or campaign attire be worn in this room. No signs or literature be distributed. Campaign literature is available on a table outside this room. Please remain as quiet as possible while the candidates are speaking so that everyone can hear, and please hold your applause until the end of the forum so candidates will have the maximum time to respond to your questions. And please silence your electronic devices.
Yes.
It is the League's policy to record and post the entire candidate forum without editing so the public will see the event in its entirety and not just selected scenes or sound bites. Excerpts or edited clips of candidate forums may not be used for partisan or political purposes. This forum is being recorded by League of Women Voters Park Rapids area and will be available through a link on our website or the League Women Voters Minnesota website. The audience is welcome to submit as many questions as you would like. No cards are available for this purpose. Just hold up your cards and ushers will collect them throughout the forum. Please address your questions to all candidates. Questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be asked. Those that fall into the same general topic area may be consolidated to allow us to cover as many topics as possible in the allotted time. All questions submitted are the property of League of Women Voters. There is never enough time to cover all the issues. If you feel your question was not addressed, please contact the candidate directly after the forum. And now, I would like to introduce our moderator, Carolyn White, a certified moderator from the Park Rapids Area League of Women Voters.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And we'll start the candidate forum with opening statements. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for their opening statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement. Opening statements will be in alphabetical order, sort of. I don't know how we get our grid, so we'll just go with it. The closing statements will be in a random order. The order of answering questions will be rotated. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to the questions. Please note that our timekeeper, Carrie, over there, and she's got some signs for you.
I'll give you 30.
30 seconds, 15 seconds, and then a stop sign. All right. This way we'll make sure everybody gets their full allotted time. We hope that most, if not all, of the questions of those that are submitted to the audience, we have questions that were submitted by email. All 4 candidates are invited to the forum, and for school board, we have all 4 candidates that are now, I think there was one gentleman that filed but has withdrawn. So he's not here if anybody had it. We have Helen Leto, Sarah Makala, all right, Sherry Peterson, and Julia Kicker. And so let's begin with opening statements. Candidates will have 2 minutes, and we're going to start with Julia.
Good evening. I just want to say thank you for coming out to
Be a little
listen.
closer to the microphone. Yeah.
Usually people tell me I'm not. Thank you for coming out to listen to our thoughts for our school in the future. And I appreciate, I've been on our board 2 previous terms, so 8 years. I've enjoyed being here. I've enjoyed watching our school grow in some really positive ways, and I'd like to continue to see that happen. I've grown as a person in this position as well. I think our school has a lot of positive things to offer our students, outside students who might be looking for a new endeavor, I guess, when it comes to schooling. I really enjoy being here. I've learned a lot, and I want to continue to be able to, take the information I learned, the classes I've taken, the trainings I have, and keep applying it to the future of Menahga and our students, our community, because I honestly believe these kids are going to be our future. They're going to make decisions for us when we need good decision makers. And I think I appreciate all the trust you've put into me, and I want to continue to be open and honest with people and have people be able to come up to me and just ask me questions and be able to answer them as honestly as I can and contribute to not only Menahga School but to our community. I think our community has a lot of positive things, and bringing people into our community and our school is good for all of us. Just thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah, let's have yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Makala. I am a near lifelong resident of Menahga. My children are and will be third-generation graduates of Menahga High School. My three daughters are grown, so I felt there's been something in my heart to reach out and help the community more, and I'm always drawn towards the children. I love Menahga School. I love the community of Menahga. We chose to raise our kids here. My girls all went to school K through 12th. My son is currently in 6th grade. I've seen a lot of administration teams, a lot of school boards. I think everyone has done a remarkable job. I think Menahga School definitely has a program that is appealing to a lot of people. It's definitely at the top. You hear a lot about what a wonderful school district we have. I am just looking forward to the chance to be able to do my part, be a part of the conversation. I am a familiar face to the school and to the community, I believe. I've been around for a long time. I guess that's just it.
Thank you. And Sherry.
Hi, thanks for coming. I'm Sherry Peterson. I graduated from Menahga. I was Sherry Niska. I currently have 8 children and 5 attend the school, so I have a lot invested, and I would like to put my time forth to keep this a place where I want to send my kids and everyone else would like to keep their kids coming. Menahga has a strong enrollment, and I think that says a lot for our community and our school board and administration, teachers. And I've really enjoyed my 4 years working on the school board. It has helped me grow as a person, and we have a lot of good things going, and I want to continue pushing them forward and keep it a place where we want to send our kids. Thank you.
Okay, and Helen?
Hello, my name is Helen Leto. I grew up in the Wolf Lake area on a dairy farm. I graduated in '94. My husband and I have 10 children, 6 of which have already graduated from Menahga. 2 are currently going to school in Menahga, and 2 have chosen to be homeschooled. My husband owns a business in Menahga. I decided to run again for school board. I've been on it since 21 because our current board works well together, and I think continuity is important. I also want quality education for our children, and I want the environment to be a safe environment for them to get that education. I also believe that it's important for everybody, if they're able, to contribute to the community in one way or another, whether it be school board, town board, city board, fire department, rescue, any of those type of things. So I thought this a part of my life, I am able to do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Our first question is, what motivated you to want to run for the Menahga School Board? And we'll start with Sherry.
I guess my biggest motivation is my children. I want them to get a quality education from a district that, like Menahga. And I feel like I have a connection with a lot of the teachers as I graduated here, a connection with the community, parents, and I want to be a voice for everybody and take all the information that's given and help our district grow.
All right. And Julia?
I guess when I first started 8 years ago, I was actually asked if I would be interested in doing this. I'm a parent who I seek for answers until I'm satisfied. And so parents would come up to me and ask me questions about, I know you do this, or I know this about your children. What are your thoughts? And so they're like, why don't you run for board? And I did. And what motivated me now is just watching our school grow. I want to continue to watch that. We have a lot of positive things going on. And in my mind, I just see a really encouraging future, things looking different. It's not like when I graduated from high school, but just seeing the changes and wanting to see them continue for a positive thing for our students.
Okay. Helen, same question.
In 21, there was 2 positions open, and I searched around asking various people, would you be interested in running for the school board? Because I wasn't sure that I was the person for that position. There was no taker, so finally I decided, I guess I'll give it a whirl. And especially since we have kids in the school district, and I did want them to have a good education, and like I said, in a quality place. I also was curious to see how the school operated. I had been to board meetings before, and I wanted to see what the school board actually has control of, and what they don't have a lot of control because it's passed on down from the government rules and regulations.
Thank you. And Sarah?
Along the same lines as what Sherry said, my children, first and foremost, like I said, I already have 3 that have graduated from here, but my son is still in 6th grade. I would still like to be a part of the policies and things that he sees moving forward in high school as things change in the world and in the state and in the country, everything. I feel that I'm my children's strongest advocate, and I would like to be an advocate for other children also. All of the other children, I want to be a part of the conversation. I'll be the first to admit, I don't know much there is on what the school board does but I am absolutely willing and ready to learn about all of it, get a better understanding of everything that takes place at meetings.
Okay, Sarah, we're going to start with the next question with you. And it sort of follows up with what you were just saying. What do you believe is the role of the school board?
Well, I believe the role of the school board is to obviously hire the superintendent, be a part of that process, make policies, enforce policies. I don't know if it's an actual role, but to be a liaison maybe between the school and the community, be somebody that community members can reach out to bring issues that they would like discussed by the school board, and just to be able to enforce be a listener to families, to students, to employees, administration.
Thank you. And Sherry, what do you think is the role of the school board?
The role of the school board is to hire the superintendent and have a good working relationship with him or her, to make the policies for both elementary, high school, and then also be a connection between the staff, the students, the community, and work together to find a commonality for everyone to work well with.
Thank you. And Julia?
Again, like the other two ladies' policies, either creating or following policies that the state hands down, educating ourselves on the legislative process and how that affects Menahga, supporting our staff and our students, being a positive role model, I guess are what I see as our role.
Okay. And Ellen?
It is all what the others have said, the hiring and overseeing the superintendent, making policies, approving policies, overseeing the financial operations, and also the strategic planning for the school.
All right. And Helen, you're going to get to start with the next one. What skills or experiences qualify you to serve on the school board?
Well, I feel that since I've been part of this community for many years, I am very familiar with all the values that the community has. My husband is a business owner in the community, and I think it's important that not only those who have children who go to school have a say in the school, but so do the business owners and other local taxpayers. I've been very involved with my children and in their schooling, and also with the building of this new school. I was also involved in the planning of that. So I feel like I have a lot of connections and reasons to be on the school board.
Okay. Sarah?
First and foremost, I'm a parent. Like I said, I graduated from Menahga in 2000. I have graduates spanning over the years. I feel that, that being said, I'm a familiar face to the school, to the kids, to the staff, in the community. I've worked at a local business for the past 17 and a half years. I've been an involved parent, and I just want to be more involved.
All right. And Sherry?
My skills and experience, I think the first 2 years of being a school board member, you really learn by like a fire hose. It's a lot to take in. And so 4 years under your belt gives you a lot of a backbone to go forward and make decisions. And I also am on the MSBA Delegate Assembly, and it's a voice for Menahga and also rural schools to take to the legislature to see what it's not. When you go there, it's the big schools that have the big voice. We need representation from the rural districts.
And Julia?
I guess I look at it as I'm willing to educate myself. I'm willing to learn outside my own comfort zone, being honest, having the high ethics and sticking to them, even when there's controversy about things that, you know, people might you get one side of that will ask you one thing and another, but sticking to, doesn't matter who I'm talking to, that's what I believe in, those are my ethics, that's my honesty with you. And being on here, I have reached out in a lot of different ways to educate myself. Right now, I am on the board of directors for Sourcewell through the school, being on the board. I'm also a candidate for the MREA School Board Association. And I think learning those things about our city, bringing those things back to our school, I think that brings a lot to the table, and I would just like to continue to do that, and I think those are good skills to try to maintain.
All right. And Julia, we'll start the next question with you. What are 2 or 3 strengths that the Menahga School District can be proud of? And what do you see as the biggest challenge facing the district, and how would you address it?
Two of our biggest strengths is, one of them, and I don't know how to explain it except for we really look outside the box. We are not a square. We're always trying to incorporate different things, looking at how we can bring things into our building. Not finding the simplest way to try to reach out and educate all of our students. Another strength is our teaching staff. We have a great teaching staff, and they're here because they want to be here. And the challenge is keeping staff. People don't want to teach, and so how do we support them to want to be here and want to be with our students and keeping them here? That is, I think, a really big challenge outside of financial from government, but that's another story.
All right. And Helen? 2 or 3 strengths and the biggest challenge.
The biggest strengths, I feel, is our community and its strong values, and the school board that works well together. The biggest challenge is the government and what comes down from the government and the rules and policies we have to try and work with and make them work for our district.
And Sarah?
I would say a couple of our strengths is the sense of community within our school. A lot of our kids they go to school together, the parents went to school together, sometimes the grandparents went to school together. I think that just gives a whole sense of connection beyond. My son will come home and he'll say, in the old line, I'll ask him, whose boy is that? And he can tell me his parents, and oh yeah, I went to school with him. Another strength, kind of stemming off of what Julia said, is people want to teach here. I won't name names, but there is a teacher here. He's just substituting now, but he taught my mother, he taught me, and he has taught my children. We have many of those teachers in this school that keep coming back to support. And I think a challenge, although I'm not super privy, but I think a challenge for Menahga would be keeping up, moving forward with everything in our more rural community versus the bigger communities.
And Sherry?
Yeah, our strengths, we have a lot of them. I think our enrollment is one. A lot of districts in the state don't have the increasing enrollment like we do. And also all the people in our building. We have great teachers, great students, and the teachers are hardworking, which shows the students how to be hardworking. A big challenge for Menahga will be just keeping us Menahga. Change is good, but also what we're doing is working, and it's a good thing. So why change it if it already works?
Let's see. Sherry, you get to start it. The next one. How do you plan to engage students, faculty, staff, and parents in your decision-making process?
I like to think that I'm a good listener. When tough decisions are to be made, a lot of people reach out. When you're out in the community, you see that, do that face-to-face contact with them and listen to what they have to say. Students, amazingly, aren't afraid to tell you what they think. And they're a good reflection of what's going on. They know. Teachers aren't as quick to reach out typically, but when they do, it's an important issue that they want you to know about. Parents, well, definitely. If you're in the grocery store and you're out in basketball games, anywhere, just listening to them is my biggest thing.
Okay, Julia?
I guess I'd have to say, how do I plan to engage? I have a personality that people are, I'm always engaged with people. I talk to people. I go out and about. I sit at the beach and people come up and talk to me. And again, I just try to be honest with what they're asking or give my experiences as especially when it comes to parents. I'm in the community a lot. People know that, if they call me, whether it's teachers, or parents. I mean, I've had students that come up to me and they'll say, hey, and you know, and you give them the best advice on which direction to go. And I guess that's about all I can do is, you know, there's proper ways to go through chains of command, and if you do them the correct way, you can get further. And so I'm just kind of a people person. So that's all I think.
Ellen?
Good communication. If there's something that we need to be working on and we're not quite sure how it's going to affect everybody, I reach out to ask questions. Do you think this will work? What's your experience? And make people aware of what's happening and how it might affect them.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah?
I think first and foremost, being available to have the conversations that need to be had, asking questions, listening, but then also hearing what the person is telling me, and maybe asking more questions to make sure I understand the point that they're coming across, especially coming from the parent side of it. All parents have different questions and concerns related to their children. So it's always best to get that particular parent, or you know, whatever we're talking about, their side of things. But like I said, first and foremost, being available and hearing what they're saying.
And Sarah, you get to start the new question. What actions would you support to be taken by the school board to increase safety in our schools? And can you include your thoughts about bullying in that situation?
It is, bullying looks very different now than it did 25 years ago when I was in school. I guess I'm just going to stick with the bullying because that's what's in my head now that you said something. When I think bullying was more vocal, it was more seen by a large group of people. When I was in school, now it can be silent. There's so much online bullying. I think the proper action, I mean, just to shut it down, if there's any way possible, I would be very open into finding other avenues to shut down the online bullying, silent bullying. I believe it is becoming more of a stigma. I think more parents, more teachers, faculty are aware of it, but...
Okay, Sherry?
Increasing safety in the school, the biggest thing that comes to my mind is phone restrictions for students. We implemented a 7th and 8th grade cell phone policy. I would like to see it all school-wide. That will also help with bullying if kids don't have access to their phone. They're more willing to say something online than they wouldn't say it face-to-face.
Thank you. Julia?
We're always, as a board, looking and listening for more areas of concern when it comes to safety. I'm sure you've all heard every school around here have had safety issues. And so when they bring stuff to us, it's, you know, at one time it used to be, oh, not our school, we live in Menahga, but it is our school. And so it's like, what are we looking at and what do we have to do to make our students and our staff and our community who comes into the area safe? So it's like whatever's out there. And bullying, it is a large concern, and it comes down to social media. And I mean, you can be living in New York and bullying somebody in California. And so it's like, what do we do? How do we teach our kids? We're a little bit behind the ball when it comes to cell phone and device use, but how do we catch up, and how do we implement that and take a stand and say, yep, this is what we're doing, no matter how many of them kick and scream about it. It's what we have to do to keep everybody safe.
Okay, and Helen?
With all the school issues, safety issues that have been going on lately, we're always aware and wondering potential things we could be doing. I guess we ask the superintendent when there's various issues, whether it be vaping, bullying, firearms, what his recommendations might be, and he does research, he comes back to the board. Along with what Sherry said, phones are very important, phone policies, and I am for making them more stringent.
Okay. And Helen, you get to start the next question. If elected, what steps will you take to bring back the homeschooled students since the COVID pandemic and to increase the funding to the school district?
Well, as you may have heard, I homeschool 2 of my students. And I'm not going to force them to come back to the school if they choose to be homeschooled, as I don't want to force other families. I do know there are families who are not sure about homeschooling, who are currently homeschooling, and a lot of that started with the masking and vaccination issues. But one thing we are looking into is flexibility. So where you could potentially be enrolled in Menahga through an online options, and do some classes online, all of your classes online, come to the school, take some classes physically, the rest online. I want to keep the options open for flexibility in education.
Okay, Sarah?
I guess stressing the importance of public education, that would be, when I look at my public education, the public education of my girls and my son, the whole experience, the learning, the extracurriculars, the sense of community that a public education can give a person when you're involved in all the different aspects. I think our school does an excellent job at having all the avenues of the different, whether it be sports or the dramatics or the arts or FFA, all the different organizations. I would talk about it until my skin turned blue about the importance of the public education experience.
Okay, Sherry?
I also have one homeschooler, and I think that families it's great to have flexibility. Not all students learn the same. And as Helen said, we do have an online school that we are partnered with. So having the flexibility where we have that, we are trying to implement internships for our high school students, and the career and tech ed classes. Those are things that some homeschool students maybe wouldn't otherwise experience. Something like that maybe will draw them back.
Okay, and Julia?
A couple of the things I think that homeschool kids might be at home for, and I've heard about it from other parents, is bullying and behaviors. Other kids don't want to be part of that. So what are we going to do as a school board to look for resources to come into our school and help educate our kids on, the effect and get some control in that, and also support our teachers, because our teachers are tired, and our teachers want support, and we want to be there to support them. And if they can have more control in their classroom, be able to have more positive interaction, and these kids can be more positive, more kids will probably want to be here. And then I also know our career readiness classes, that I am very motivated for us to continue to look for those and get those resources in here for our higher grade classes.
Thank you. Next question. Julia, you get to start. How would you prioritize the school district's budget to support educational programs?
To education.
Yeah, money and education programs, yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be here to do, is educate our kids. And I don't want to get off topic, but there's so many things that the state keeps handing down to us. And we keep telling them, you're going to do this, but now you're taking away from teaching our kids. You're going to do this, now we have to have less kids, or less teachers, bigger classroom sizes. How to fix that is just keep lobbying. Keep going to your legislatures, nag them. Keeping our money here and not what our government wants us to do with it. Keeping it in our classrooms, keeping it for our teachers, offering our kids all the opportunities they deserve. And we as a community, we deserve that too. We as a community deserve to have well-educated, well-rounded students. And when the government gets their hands in it, that seems to take a bigger turn. So I just bringing it in and teaching our kids and keeping it out of the other stuff.
Okay, Helen?
I'll have to say, I just have to go with Julia says. She's got it spot on.
Okay, Sarah?
Well, being the only person not currently on the board here, I will have to admit that I don't know exactly where our budget is at this time. If there's any challenges we are up against, in the little research that I have done, I feel that Menahga School does an excellent job keeping or using their money wisely. But I would think that government, like Julia said, must play a big, the state has a lot of say in where things go. So.
Okay. And Sherry?
You ladies said it well. There again, I guess, being part of the delegate assembly, I do think it's important that rural districts keep their voice and try and make it heard. We don't have the budgets that the big schools have, and a little bit of money makes a big difference for us, so we have to be smart how we spend it.
All right, and Sherry, you're going to start with this one. What strategies would you implement to secure additional funding for the school?
I think it's important to have our superintendent and our administration trained in grant writing, and that is something that we have been working towards. Also, just keeping that voice. Keep telling them we don't have money for the mascot change. That's taking money from our classrooms. That's
Okay, and Julia?
Again, like Sherry said, having our admit in the grant writing, that is a big thing, especially for us rural schools, of getting our hands on just a little bit extra money is writing those grants, finding those grants. The state will tell you there's all these grants out here, but you gotta look for them. And there is, but you gotta look for them. Keep going to the state, keep going after them. We are rural Minnesota, and we have different needs, different wants, we have different students, but at the end of the day, we want the same outcome, but how it looks is far different than Minneapolis. And when they write some of these grants, they have to take that into consideration, or when they have those applications, it'll say like how many numbers. Well, we don't have those numbers, so that's not even for us. And they say, oh, but you can't apply, but the state makes no sense.
All right, Helen?
The grants writing is important. The superintendent and various staff members did go, and they have secured lots of grants. I heard recently that there's potential for a grant for the pickleball courts, a big grant money coming for that. So there's all sorts of options. But another thing is looking into partnering with other online schools such as Elevate, because when we partner with a school such as Elevate, the students enroll through Menahga and we get part of the money. If they go to a different online school, say Penn Foster, we get zero of that money. And we're also looking into providing our own online school.
Thank you. And Helen, you'll start the next question. How do you plan to handle potential conflicts or disagreements within the school board?
Well, I feel like we have worked very well together. We took, when I first started, we took a class, those who were on the school board at the time, learning about each other's personalities and how they work. So we found out that some make instant decisions and they don't like to wait around. Some take a really long time to make a decision. And so we just understood that about each other, and then we could give each other praise for how they operate. So just getting to know your school board members and being respectful and giving each other grace. Because we all try to make the right decisions, but there's no guarantees.
Okay. Sarah?
From what I hear and can understand, the board does work really well together. From everybody that I've talked to, I think an important part of being a part of any group, especially in one with responsibilities such as the school board, playing on each other's strengths, understanding where someone may excel in an area that you may not, giving each other the time and energy. Again, just communication, being respectful of one another. It's all stuff we're taught. You just have to remember that when you're grown-ups and in a tough situation, everyone's after the same common goal, and that's what's best for our school and for our community.
Sherry?
I mean, they've said it well. It's just listening to everybody and knowing that everybody takes different routes to make their decisions and being respectful of that. Some are, like Helen said, some are fast, some are slow, some do more research than others. And it's being respectful.
Julia?
I guess like the other three ladies have said, we all play with who is on the board or in the future of the board. We all play different roles, different parts. We educate ourselves in different ways. And being able to sit back and allow everybody who brings something different to the table to say what they have to say. One person might be passionate about one thing and the other one, and we bring our data, we bring our thoughts, we bring, whatever we have, and we, do our best. If somebody doesn't agree, like, okay, this is what I saw, or what, this is what I know, and just bring that all to the table. But then in the end, we're all doing what's best for the student body and walking away being adults. And it's a vote, it's a voting process, and when it's all said and done, we just walk away and we did the best we could, and that's all we can ask of ourselves.
Thank you. And I'm sort of messed up on my grid, so I'm going to restart again. So Helen, you're going to get the first question on this, first to go. What would be your plan to address the teacher shortage, retain educators, and support and empower them?
Well, one interesting concept is the 4-day school week. I've heard that really attracts teachers, and that is something we've mentioned, and I would be interested in going forward with that, or researching it. There's been positive comment from the community, and I believe many were also interested in that. What was the second part of that question?
Retaining teachers and supporting and empowering them.
I feel furthering education is very important for that, and I am all for approving programs where they can further the education, understanding discipline problems, having a good relationship with the teachers. If you have issues, reach out.
Okay. And Sarah?
I think doing whatever you can through policy, creating an enjoyable workplace environment, making sure that our teachers and our staff are heard, that they feel that their needs are being addressed to the best of the school district's ability. Again, if we can get them in here and they can be a part of the Menahga community, I think that alone would make them want to stay. Like Helen said, being able to further their education. I've seen a lot of teachers that have started down and have gone, all the way up through furthering their education in this district, and what they do here allows them to be able to do that.
Sherry?
Yeah, as Helen mentioned, the 4-day school week, research has shown that really does attract staff. Also, our students, we have good kids here. Teachers will tell us that. So if we can keep behavior under control in the classroom, that'll keep the teachers here, or they'll come back. To support our teachers, keeping policy for well-behaved students. Also, letting the teachers educate themselves and providing those days where the teacher workshop days where they learn and they also have time in their classrooms to prepare for the rest of the school year.
Okay, and Julia?
Continuing their education, and I don't think it's just about educating them on the basic book education. It's I think supporting them with ways to run their classrooms. Classrooms are different today than they were even 10 years ago. And how do we support them? How do we make them feel valued? And I think that's a big thing that, as myself and maybe the rest of the board, is just reaching out to our staff, telling them how important they are, because sometimes we forget about doing that. And everybody needs to know and be heard that they are valued, that we want them here. And sometimes it's just a matter of going into a classroom and saying, thank you for being a teacher here, or seeing them in the hallway or uptown and say, I couldn't do what you did, and I'm not lying, I couldn't do what they do. You know, and letting them know that. Sometimes that just like, somebody can take a breath and say, thank you, and it might change their day. So that's, you know, make sure they know they're being heard.
Okay, thank you. And Julia, you get the next question. As a school board member, how would you respond to parents' concerns about what's being taught in the classroom?
Listening to them first and foremost. And then if it's a way a teacher's teaching it, or if it's first of all, if a teacher's teaching something that a parent is, go to that teacher and ask them. Because sometimes your kids come home and interpret one thing and the teacher's actually teaching something else. So just making sure, you know, you're encouraging the parents to talk to the teachers and go through the steps. Also, I think this board is very hands-on when it comes to curriculum, and to continue doing that and letting our parents know. You know, there's some things we have to do. The state says this has to be part of the curriculum. And sending them to the people who can explain that better, like the teachers, the principals, the superintendent. Those are things that they have more of a handle on why it's being taught in the classroom. We don't know everything.
Okay. Helen?
I listen to their concern, and then I ask them if they've used the chain of command. If they have concerns, they speak to a teacher. If at work, they speak to the admin, to their principal, what level they're in, or their superintendent. If they still have concerns, and it's not solved, then come back to us. I am also concerned about their learn. Last spring and summer, I spent many days researching social studies curriculums. So I am very concerned about what our students are learning. I want to make sure all concerns are addressed.
Okay. Sarah?
Again, touching on what Helen said, making sure the chain of command is followed. If the issue is with what a certain teacher is teaching, did the parent talk to that teacher and ask the teacher why they're teaching that lesson, or maybe why they're going about it the way that they are? I guess if it got to a point where it's me just trying to understand exactly why the parent is upset with the way that the certain lesson, or I can't think of the word I'm looking for, why the lesson or event is being taught, because it may not be as superficial as one may think. There could be deep-rooted reasons, and just try to get to the bottom of why they don't want that taught.
And Sherry?
My answer will echo a lot. It's ask, listen to them first, and then point them down the chain of command. And also, when curriculum is bought, parents have the opportunity to review any curriculum before the board approves it. So just make them aware that they are able to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, and I want to give enough time for closing statements, so I'm going to make that be the last question. Everybody will get 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we'll start with Sherry, and then Sarah, Helen, and Julia. So, Sherry, if you're ready.
I guess in closing, I would like to say that if elected again, I will be a good listener. I will take into account everybody's opinions, and I would like to continue what the board has going on. We just made a new strategic plan, and it would be what I would like to do is to see that through. You know, it's a long process to put that together, and we have a great vision for what we would like to see done. If elected, I would keep pursuing the strategic plan that we have in place and be a good listener to staff, students, parents, any community member.
All right, and Sarah?
I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Thank you to the League for hosting this forum. I guess in closing, I find it important to say I know I don't have the experience that the ladies next to me up here do, but I love my husband, I love my kids, and I love Menahga. That's what I stand for. I want Menahga to stay Menahga, and I just ask for the opportunity. As I said before, I am willing to learn it all. I am ready to learn it all. So if given the chance, I promise to fight for the students, the staff, the community of Menahga as a proud member of your school board. Thank you.
Helen?
Thank you everyone for coming. I want to say that I am the researcher. I take a long time to come up with my answer. I ask questions. I care about what the students learn and the environment they learn in, and I am familiar with the community and many of their values, and I would try and maintain those in the education that the students receive.
Okay, and Julia?
I just want to say again, thank you for coming out. And I'd also like to say thank you for the last 8 years that I have had the great opportunity to be on this board. I'd like to continue to represent the Menahga community and their children. And I think our new strategic plan, it has some real vision in it, and I would like to continue to be part of that. And it just excites me to see some of the things that we see, and I would really like to be part of that for our futures. And thank you again for coming out.
Thank you. You guys all had a little bit shorter closing, so we probably would have had time for one more question, but I'll read the last question if you want it, or we can say thank you. It's up to you guys. I think you covered just about everything. The last question was one on technology and other activities there, so, and I think almost all the questions covered it. So thank you very much, and